Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary pals, people of all colors, shapes, sizes, and creeds, welcome one, welcome all. We here at SocksMakePeopleSexy.net are proud to gather here with you once again in glorious celebration, despite the world burning down, of the absolute best in gaming in the last 365 days, that all of that had to offer, not only for your good pals right here at the Sockscast, but from you fine listeners at home. And oh my God, did y'all turn out this time around? Holy crap! We got so much. We got lists. We cannot hold these lists. It's that meme image of a guy holding things.
It's all three of us with 10 lists each,
and we just can't fucking hold them. So welcome to day one, where we will be going over our personal picks, entries 10 through 6, and this year has blessed us with another amazing haul of listener lists that we will be absolutely chomping at the bit to get to. So again, thank you to everyone in advance that took the time to get us one. We have a record number of lists this year. It is 27.
Oh boy.
So all in all, that's 30 lists counting us. So we got a lot. We got a lot to get to, and we should not dilly-dally around. To my immediate virtual right, don't look down. Shove it in your mouth. It's Rhett.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, you are recording, right?
I am absolutely recording.
Okay. We didn't actually clarify that before we started.
No, I am a consummate professional.
Okay.
Rhett, I'll have you know, I've recorded over 130 podcasts in my day.
Mm-hmm. We do stream these now, though, so you might get a little.
Well, I stream and record at the same time.
Okay.
So it always gets, it's always taken care of. I'm a consummate professional. I'm going to jinx myself by saying that I've had the honor of having never lost a podcast. I might have buried an episode of the podcast in the past. We recorded. There's a lost Metal Gear Solid spoiler cast that was recorded that I said, man, this is bad. Oh boy, everybody's just talking and nobody stops talking, and oh my God, I'm deleting this. This is never getting out. Rhett, are you ready for the biggest year in Game of the Year that we've ever had?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Ready as you'll ever be. It's all thanks to Rhett that all of this got organized as well. He's the one that took care of getting the lists together, keeping them together, getting them divvied up between the three of us so that everything sounds great. So a big special round of applause for our good pal Rhett for taking care of all that for us. Thanks, Rhett. It's always a pleasure. We appreciate you taking care of all of this tedious, busy work.
I mean, when we started doing these, it wasn't that much of a project, and now it's like, oh my God, they keep coming in. They keep coming in.
They won't stop. They were literally coming in at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So at the buzzer, we received a bit of an interesting entry. From I don't know how to pronounce this at all, so I'm going to butcher it. But it's from somebody named Xenoblade Y7K. They sent me a Mega Man 5 review. And look, the sentiment is great. I appreciate that you took the time. And I'll probably just put this on the site as a review. None of us want to read that whole thing. I'm sorry.
It's twice as long as any other list.
It's twice as long as any other list, and it does qualify more as a singular video game review. So I tell you what, at some point I'm going to put this up on the site for you. You will be immortalized at the very least. So thanks for that at the buzzer. It's very much appreciated, but unfortunately I don't think that's Game of the Year material, just in this one unique weird edge case. But you will be on the site, I promise. Cool. To my immediate virtual left, he's still deciding if he wants to completely destroy the Game of the Year podcast this year. It's John Thayer.
Hi.
Hey. Still working out?
I don't think so. Not this time.
You think you can
not this time?
Think you can keep it in your pants this time?
If I do it every year, it's going to get stale.
Yeah.
I really want to just. I want to lull y'all into a false sense of security, and then next year just completely wreck everything again.
He thinks there's going to be a next year. That's real cute. But you're ready for things. You're ready for this whole thing that we're going to be sitting here doing for the next 12 hours of our life.
Strap in.
Sure am.
Get yourself comfy.
Got all these other lists.
We got so many lists to get through, so get yourself comfy, get yourself a snack. This is just the first part. So, seeing as our listeners are, like, kind of the biggest part, I think they're the most important. We love them very much. They're the reason that we do what we do. We like to bring a little happiness to their lives. And seeing as they came out in full force this year, I think it's more than appropriate that we start the festivities with a couple of listener lists before we get to our own. So, Rhett, I understand that you want to kick things off.
I have a list here from Taylor. So I generally do all the lists in pretty random order. Mm-hmm. But I think I pretty much always put Taylor first because hers are very short.
Yeah.
So they're very fun to just knock them out real quick. So let's do
just
this one.
Very succinct and to the point.
Yeah. Okay, number 1, WWE 2K20. I know it had a rough start after months of constant patching. It finally... Just kidding! That's in the email. So here are the actual 3 games with no blurbs. Very short and to the point.
Okay.
Danganronpa 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Taylor.
Okay. That's solid.
That's some solid 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we've got ourselves another listener list. John, why don't you give it to us?
This is Babs Scribbin's Gaudy list. So number 3, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza 7 is absolutely helped by having played others, but I only have one under my belt and felt right at home in the world already. While lots of people were turned off by the change to RPG systems, I think they fit right into the series' wacky sensibilities, being explained in-universe by Ichiban Kosuga's overactive imagination and adoration for the Dragon Quest series, which has heavy influence in every single aspect of the game. If you like Yakuza, Dragon Quest, or both, this is a must-play. Number 2, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. Having never actually played a Castlevania game before this year, despite my love of Metroidvanias, I played about 6 of them through quarantine times. Dawn of Sorrow came out on top as my personal platonic ideal of a Metroidvania, and my definite pick as a recommendation for the series. Number 1, Ikenfell. Without a question, my game of the year. A great RPG with tactic-style combat and unique action commands, a supremely relatable story, massive queer representation, and an absurdly powerful soundtrack from Ivy and Surashu. It has some incredibly minor issues, but for every negative point I could give it, I'd give it a dozen positives. I absolutely cannot possibly recommend it enough. Please play Ikenfell. Or Ikenfell.
Yep. I've got that on my 2 playlist. That game looks super good. Yakuza, Like a Dragon.
Yep.
Like, I absolutely... Like,
I'm very excited for that game.
I need to play that. It looks so absurd.
On the main thread for that game on Reset Era... The
Dawn of Sorrow
Yakuza
was my first Igavania. I actually played it to death.
Nice. On the forum, the Yakuza thread is called Like a Dragon Quest, which I thought was pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
Oh my god, I realized. I'm up now.
You're up now, Rhett.
This isn't just all listener lists.
This is not all listener lists. It's not oops all listener lists. Because Rhett, you're gonna pop the cherry. Let's go.
Why did I give my... I usually do John first.
Yeah, why did you...
Because I was so unconfident in my top 10 this year.
Oh, no. Well, let's talk about it, Rhett. What is your number 10?
So I wrote a list in November that had 10 games on it, and then 8 of them actually ended up on the final version.
Oh, jeez.
There were 2 spots that ended up getting swapped out for games that I just felt had to be on there. Because I had kind of intentionally snubbed them, but then I was like, nah, had to be true to myself. So this game, it's not a good game. It's my number 10.
That's a good start.
I know it's going here.
As it is number 10, it is both a 1 and a 0. Because I could very easily sit here and tell you why Symphogear XD Unlimited is my game of the year. But it is also a gacha game, so fuck it. And it's shut down.
This is the memorial 10th spot on Rhett's list.
I had to have this on here.
Thank you, Rhett.
I didn't like the game portion of it. Like, it's just a gotcha that you just turn auto battle on and then tab away. Like, there's really no defending it.
Right.
But basically, I really enjoyed the story content in this game. And like right before they announced that it was shutting down, I'd realized the thing to do was just grind out the entire story at once for a mission set, and then just go back to the archive viewer and just read it like a visual novel. So I did that for like the last 4 events and actually ended up having a really good time just treating it as a visual novel.
Aww.
And then the reason it really had to be on here is because there is still the Japanese version. And when I think about what game I thought about the most this year, like it's this one by far, because the constant like bi-weekly updates to the Japanese version have kept the Symphogear community alive and thriving now a year after the show has actually ended. Like this is definitely kind of actually my most important game of the year. And keeping us all hyped for new stuff.
Right, all of us. Everywhere I go, people are like, man, I cannot wait for that new Symphogear chapter to come out.
I mean, if you look at my timeline, that is very much the actual vibe you get. When it's like, they drop a new update, I have like 8 people on there. Oh yeah, did you see? Oh my god, Evil Hibiki. Oh my god, they're gonna kill Evil Hibiki. Just like the nonstop discourse.
Fantastic.
This is the game that makes me wish I had learned Japanese at some point in my life. Because it is fucking torture watching the Japanese version continue with constant updates and not being able to read them.
Right. Oh, man.
Also, they did some insane crossovers this year where they did a Nanaha one, a Tales of Symphonia one.
That's so weird. That's such a weird pull.
It's such a weird pull. Like, they just literally went for the Tales of Symphogear joke.
Yeah.
And then they just did a Gamera crossover, which, why fucking not at this
why
point?
Not? Yeah.
Yeah. I love this game so much in concept, just not the actual playing part, so it's kind of ideal right now.
Yeah.
So that's my number 10.
Perfect way to get things started.
Thank you, Rhett.
John, what's your number 10?
Well, I've got a pretty controversial number 10.
After mine?
Yep. My number 10 is Toho Luna Nights.
Oh, dang. Gonna ruffle some feathers with that one. Jeez. Talk about controversial.
The game that everybody who plays it loves because it's just a really good, fun action game that's nice and makes me happy.
It's just extremely well made and there's like no flaw, basically.
Yeah, I can't, like, there's nothing I can bitch about that game.
Yeah.
It's just really good. I played it.
Yeah.
I did the same thing Polly did, which was that I 100%ed it. Like within like a couple sittings, just like playing it nonstop, and even doing all the little running around and exploring and finding all the things. And then I got the boss rush, and then I beat the boss rush in one life, and I felt very cool, and it was very nice. I beat the extra stage too, which is extremely fun.
The extra stage is so good.
The extra stage is so good, and that extra boss gets added to the boss rush.
Oh my god. Yeah, my one flaw in this game is that when I came back to it a couple months later, the extra boss was like, no, I think I'm good. Once I saw the second form, I'm good.
It's a monster.
Oh, it's so worth it. Oh, it's so fun. Oh, boy. Yeah, I literally was like, beat the game in 2 sittings, and then third sitting was, all right, let's learn this boss. Just extremely rewarding, extremely fun. I love Sakia. I love the ESOD cast. That was my first Toho game. And the time stop stuff just feels so fucking good. And before you can really see any of the seams in it, the game's over. So you're fine.
Yeah. Like, how did they make that? Like you just got to think of how overpowered Sakuya's powers are. How did they still make a game out of that that's still fucking fascinating and challenging? Just like, it's so smart.
It's so well done. Just adore it.
Yep.
Polly.
Yo! Got
What's
a number
your
10. My number 10 comes to us courtesy of one Thomas the Jetstorm 4. My number 10 is My number 10 is Silas.
Nice.
So our good pal, Thomas the Jetstorm 4, did something I think very few RPG Maker users ever do. He He
finished his game.
Thought up. He dreamed big. He shot for the stars, and he completed an honest-to-goodness long-form 20-plus hour JRPG epic that is like a full playable game start to finish. And that achievement alone isn't like what put it on my list, but it's one of those things where it's just like, that just doesn't happen. People have, like, you've seen RPG Maker forums, you've seen RPG Maker Reddit. It's like, check out my demo. That's never gonna be a game.
This is not just RPG Maker. This is almost everything.
Look at my battle system. Look at my map.
It's especially RPG Maker.
It's just especially RPG Maker. What does get this game onto my list, though, is the zeal with which it captures and sort of pays homage to, but it doesn't like copy a very sort of specific sector of JRPGs past, like fans of like 90s and early 2000s Falcom storytelling will enjoy this, as well as people who really like working designs flair for punching up their translations in ways that maybe weren't entirely faithful to the original, but made them real fun to read and gave them a lot more personality. So if you're really into kind of like that grandiose kind of Ys-like storytelling with some really punchy dialogue and a really good story just overall, like this is the game. Like this game was just loved on top to bottom, and it shows. The maps and the dungeon designs are just on point. The story takes you on this big sprawling journey with characters that are fun to be around, and like if you are yearning for like a 90s RPG hit that nothing's giving you, like I wholly recommend Silas. It's one of the few kind of throwback retro styled RPGs that I've played where I actually get transported back to that feeling and not just feel like somebody's trying to mimic it in some way. This obviously comes from somebody that understands what made those games kind of feel the way they feel and the way that they are. So yeah, that's my number 10. Silas. Awesome. It's really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I played this one too. I had a really nice time. I think that for me, the there's a germ of like a really personal story kind of wrapped in all of that very good classic RPG story.
Absolutely.
And I think that speaks to how these kinds of classic story shapes and classic game shapes can be used to tell these sort of personal, intimate stories in a really cool way. That was a big takeaway for me. It was like, oh shit, these kinds of long form, you don't have to blow the whole thing wide open. You don't have to do a big deconstruction to nail that. You can just you can tell a story using these shapes that's really touching.
We are up to 3 on our shape count this episode, by the way. Just putting that on the board. Just putting that on the board. That you said Paul, shape like 500 times last year.
You're going to count all of them this year? You're playing a dangerous game.
I'm playing a dangerous game. Absolutely. You were not wrong. We are up to 3.
It's a good word.
It is. You're not wrong, Joe.
Fuck you.
Fuck me entirely.
Transcendent word.
It is.
Absolutely. So you got to save that for the number 1.
There you go. Such a transcendent shape of a joke.
Now fuck you.
Now fuck me. Now the joke's dead. Took it out back, shot it in the back of the head. All right. So how about another listener list? I got one on deck for you if you would like.
Ooh.
This one comes from Sockscast artist Sayara. It's the best pal, Sayara.
Hey.
Sayara says, "Good day. This is Sayara. I have returned to the surface once more to drop off this list of games I've consumed for your entertainment. There is no particular order for these. The first game listed is Animal Crossing New Horizon. While I have my complaints about being guilt-tripped into playing it more, it provided a really nice blanket of comfort during the first few months of total lockdown I went through at the beginning of this year, like most people I imagine. Yeah. Poncho the Bear is the best villager. Number 2 on this list is Citus 2. A long time ago, I put Demo as Game of the Year choice because it mixed storytelling and a rhythm game. Well, Citus 2 has done this, but mixed in like a huge cast of characters in an interactive story played out as a message forum service and actual game manipulation. It glitched my game out hardcore at one point as I was playing. Also, it has a lot of music. Probably has a lot to do. You probably want a lot of music in your rhythm game, I think. It's probably a good thing to have. All right, and number 3, Higurashi When They Cry. I don't know if it's fair to say that I played this one, but more so absorbed it through Poly's streams, but experiencing the story in these last six some months unlocked a whole lot of creativity out of me and pretty much broke any kind of misconception I had with the series. Anything that, helped fuel over 18-something artworks out of me, and this barren wasteland of 2020 is worthy of the Game of the Year moniker. And he finishes on with, this year has been kind of butts, and I'll be glad that it's over. Thank you for everything the community has done to make this year a bit more survivable. Yeah. Born to Art, World is a Fuck, Never End 1983, I Am Trash Man, 410, 757, 864, 530, Dead Sayara, This is the Law of Us Sayara. So, Red.
Thanks, Sarah.
Red, I think you got another listener list for us.
I've got another one. This comes in from Nate.
Hello, Nate.
Okay, this first blurb is kind of funny. Number 3, Animal Crossing: New Horizons. What started as a game I'm known to pick up for a few months and then put away became even more interesting as it slowly became an analogy for my rapidly deteriorating relationship earlier this year.
Oh, good.
The more I would do and feel good about accomplishing, the more I had to take a break and wait for that lazy asshole to hopefully catch up so he wouldn't yell at me. Truly, the most gratifying aspect of the game came when I dumped him and got the ability to reshape the train on my island, breaking it down to nothing and rebuilding it back up to something I was proud of, and had a lit-up point with a statue with boobs on it.
There you go.
Yeah. Number 2, For the King. Ever wanted to play D&D and have a 3-way simultaneously? Then do I technically have the game for you. 3-player games never really caught on. You had The Cave and Battletoads and other games. But where this game excels is that it combines the planning needed for a D&D session with the turn-based strategy of a more traditional RPG. It's short, it's meant to be played multiple times to unlock everything, but it's a fun little diversion that's quick to pick up and so hard to put down. And number 1, Moon. If the English translation of Moon had come out in 2019, it would have been my pick over Schoolgirl Zombie Hunters.
Damn, that's some harsh competition.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was Nate's number 1 last year. I do remember that.
Yep.
It's a deconstructionist masterpiece that tries to humanize the parts of video games we take for granted instead of just pointing and going, oh, isn't that cliche? Anyway, back to doing the exact thing we just pointed out as being cliche. Do-do-do. Moon is probably the greatest RPG of all time that I've played, and it's frustrating we didn't get an official English translation until now, so more people can experience this quirky RPG that's easy to pick up, put down, explore at your own pace. And I will put any of the goodwill I've left suggesting you try this game. Oh, and embrace your own mortality or something. P.S. Take my advice, go in blind. Have a great new year, and please don't die.
Good advice, good sentiments. We'll take that under advisement.
I wonder how many times Animal Crossing is going to show up. I'm excited.
That sounds like one that, I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah.
Thinking about our group, I can see this one coming up a lot. That'll probably be the dark horse to watch here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The Kindred Spirits of 2020.
Oh, there you go. Obviously. So, Rhett!
So, as I mentioned earlier, I did an early November list with 10 games, and then only 8 of them ended up on the final list.
Right.
So
These last two were just throwaway garbage.
Well, they were kind of gunning for special spots. So basically, I had 9 games, the 8 and then Symphogear, that I really wanted on the list. And I was talking about this to you guys on Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
I've got 10 games for the 9th spot. Oh boy. And I'm just looking at them. And I said to John, like, which game do I want to talk about one more time? And it ended up being none of them. I looked at my overall list of games I played one last time, and I saw this game sitting there, and I went, well, it kind of obviously has to be that. My number 9 is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Son of a bitch.
I didn't even do this on purpose.
Oh my god!
I swear to God, I put the listener list in randomly, and just now I'm like, oh, I put 2 with Animal Crossing right in front of my closing Animal Crossing.
Bitch.
This is very funny timing with my comment.
I didn't even
All right.
didn't even do that on purpose.
Yeah, we don't know each other's lists going into this, so we had no idea.
Boy, did I just have to bite my tongue when you guys were like, oh, I wonder if Animal Crossing's going to come up again.
Yeah, you had to really bite your tongue there for that long 25 seconds.
Yeah, I was just like, I almost started laughing though. This game just had the best release timing in history.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, holy fuck. Like, this is a game that was not on my radar, like, whatsoever. And then about a week into quarantine, I'm seeing it on Twitter constantly, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably get that game, because I'm kind of losing my fucking mind right now. Like, it was a game that was in the right place at the right time and helped me through a very scary time.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for that.
Yep. Good.
Did
Got us through that scary time. And
Tarantula hunting? Yeah. You still tarantula hunting?
No, that's the thing. Once I went back to work, I was like, oh, I can't keep playing.
Oh, we're done with this. It's over.
That's the thing. I almost didn't put it on the list because once I was like over it, I was over it like extremely hard. Like someone made a video of like UI things that should have been in the game.
Oh no!
And it just fucking broke me. Like all the dumb. Like I don't want to dump on it too much because it is on my top 10.
Obviously. But yeah, like Nintendo's terrible with UI shit.
The UI stuff and the online is like the online is so hilariously bad in this game.
Yeah,
like literally 2 minutes to connect to a single person.
It's ridiculous.
I remember hosting. Like, because I had, 600 bell or whatever.
Turnips.
Turnips, that's the thing. And just getting them, 20 people would take, 4 hours.
Oh, my God.
It was just this is just what I'm going to do. I'm just going to host all day.
This is my life.
And I got, 20 million bells and tips or something. Jeez. So I didn't have to think about money ever again.
Yeah.
But then I stopped playing.
Yeah. You're rich, though.
It was funny, just wow, this really is just... But yeah, I mean, I kind of said my piece on that game. It was a good thing when I needed it.
Right.
Cool.
It's very cute. I really did enjoy the main progression. I got up to them reviewing my house at S rank.
Oh, nice.
I did everything.
And how do you not love Isabelle?
She's not in it that much. That's the one unfortunate thing.
Man, yeah, that's why you just played New Leaf, because she is the face of New Leaf. Yeah,
you're mostly dealing with Tom Nook in this one.
Boo!
I remember. Apparently, Isabelle also doesn't listen to you. I complained about, one of the other Islanders is giving me a dumb nickname. Can you talk to them? And she doesn't actually do anything.
Do you look at her? Do you think she's one for confrontation?
No, exactly. She's like, what do you mean you have a problem with the other villagers? Oh no!
No, you don't. You don't have a problem. Everything's fine. Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing it on more listener lists.
Oh yeah.
So John, do you have a number 9?
Yeah, it would be pretty weird if I didn't, Rhett.
Yeah, I mean...
Okay.
You got... There was a year that I didn't have a number 10.
I mean, John didn't have a number 1 this year. That year, he...
Yeah, he didn't have a game of the year, weirdly enough, one year.
You could have put the Toho game at 9, though, if you wanted to be funny.
That's a good point.
My number 9 is Ocean Oi. Actually, Ocean Oi, and I'm going to go ahead and say and Atom Oi. These are both two RPG Maker combat experiments by my friends Sreka Lillian. So Ocean Oi is the big one. It's like almost 90 minutes. It is a gauntlet of fights in RPG Maker 2K.
Yep.
Like 13 different battles with next to no story and 4 different characters that have completely different like verb sets and things they can do. So with like Ocean Oi, there's like it's all about MP management essentially, and you have different characters have moves that actually restore MP. So it's this push-pull of trying to manage your resources for your big attacks and your big heals, while also spending turns to get the resources for those heals. And the enemies you fight also have to manage their MP in order to attack. So before they can do big moves, you'll see them actually use moves that say, "Oh, hey, I'm about to use a big move next turn."
See, that's the part that blew me away. Is that I didn't realize you could do AI as complicated as that in RM2K. I've never seen it.
It's really wild. And I think you can actually manipulate MP as well. And then the thing that really kind of brings it all home for me is that the final boss is just completely buck wild. It goes really hard. There's no like real framing. There's no real story. So it's just like poetic imagery, basically, while also being a really cool climax to these battles. I was just really, really and some cool visual and musical cues. I was really impressed. Atom Oi came out just recently. This one was much shorter. It's only 5 battles in about a half hour. But again, a completely different set of abilities. One person basically just deals damage. One person basically just heals. One person basically just does buffs or debuffs rather. And all of them feel vitally important. And then again, the villains you fight will do the same. Have a lot of the same MP management stuff as well, because it's also similar. Where MP is a resource you spend moves to regain.
Yeah.
So they're just these really fascinating formal experiments in like, I'm going to make a couple games that are just fights in RPG Maker, and I'm going to make them as cool and balanced as possible. There's no like character progression. There's not a ton of item management. There's items you manage in Ocean Oi, but none in Atom Oi. It's just like a feast for me. I'm just like, oh yes, oh this is so much good, good shit for me. Sreka wrote the most useful facets rundown of like anybody that I've seen too. Just kind of digging into how the combat works, and I was like, oh, this is a lot of stuff I wasn't really thinking about. This is great. And I love their blog too. So yeah, Ocean Oi, itch.io. Give that a look. It's tunditur-unda.itch.io.
Yeah.
All right. That's my number 9.
Good pick. Good pick. RPG Maker games are dope. They are being. I think we've already got some pretty good representation here.
It was really amazing when that game showed up at the Game Awards.
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
I have played a metric shit ton of really cool RPG Maker games by friends.
This year's been real good for that. I've played a good few of them myself, and there's some good shit out there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, Polly, what's your number 9?
My number 9. This is a game from the moment I pressed new game. I knew this game was going to be on the list. My number 9 is Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that man, the opening cinematic for this game. When I can picture the moment clear in my head. The moment that 2 polys were in perfect sync. There was a poly from 1997 that pressed a new game at the same time 2020 poly pressed new game, and those two reactions were so eerily similar. This feeling of excitement as that fly-in through Midgar to the train station and everything through that opening bombing mission filled me with the purest dose of nostalgia and punched me in the goddamn chest so hard. Like, I've not felt a game kind of reach that hard in a long time and make me feel that way. It's such a unique feeling. I think that it just hits. That opening hits so hard. For this game, it's as much about the big iconic moments as it is like how thoroughly this new take on the old cast kind of breathes life into a script from 1997 that was, a little rough around the edges. Kind of didn't paint these characters maybe as colorful as they were. But now you've got, but like now Eris and Barrett, there's so much life in these characters that you literally just fall in love with them all over again. It's not just them; it's all the side characters like Biggs, Wedge, and like Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse.
They're
are
awesome now.
They're so like you really feel connected. They feel like a group. They feel like the ragtag group of people that have been working together for a long time toward a common goal. They feel like that tightly knit group that Cloud's trying to kind of fit into, and they're trying to welcome him in. And like Cloud's portrayal, like I can't compliment it enough. Like they've got this perfect amount of everybody calling him on his bullshit. Like his emo teenager.
Because he's trying to act, he's trying to act he's so cool.
He's trying to be so, and that is such a smart and cool play if you know where that character goes.
Yep.
Like, it's so good. And Wall Market.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's so good. Like, I was sweating bullets going into Wall Market, knowing where that could have gone. And when I came out the other side, I was hyperventilating at how much I was just like at everything that was happening.
It's probably the best part of the whole game.
It is,
except for that boss fight.
Oh god, the Hell House fight is garbage. Get that out of here. But I love all of that shit, and while what they may be going for story-wise may not sit well with everybody.
I think we'll talk about that a bit later.
I'm 255% here for it. This is my jam. Like, what they're doing with this game in the last few hours when it finally shows its hand, I was grinning ear to ear because that's my shit! But I think the biggest thing, though, this remake, I learned just how much I actually really love Final Fantasy VII.
I know, right?
I didn't realize that game was so much a connected part of my experience in gaming, going back to 1997 and feeling those exact same feelings 23 years later in a completely different context was really, really magical. And the only reason that this is so low on my list is because I'm a bit bummed that I don't know that I'll be able to play the rest.
Oh.
Because I'm not upgrading to a PS5. So I don't know if I'll be able to play the last parts of it. This first part is a fantastic, like I love what it's doing. Like even with the warts and all, I think the combat system really needs work. And things like that. I love what they're doing, and I have faith in what they're doing, and I hope that I'm able to experience it, and I hope that they deliver on a vision that they're trying to deliver on, because what they're doing, I think, is really, really smart in terms of it being a remake. So yeah.
It is just the Midgar section. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, it's a very small part of that original game.
Yeah.
They've
Not
got
even a third.
lot.
It's not even a third.
Not even a third of like disc 1.
Yeah, they have so much more ground to cover, and it's just like trying to think of how they're scoping that out and what even like more of that game means. I don't even know how to think about that right now.
Yeah, because the game changes so much once you're out of that one city.
Yeah, so just how they're going to handle all that is just absolutely beyond me. So that is my number 9, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Nice.
So, I understand that, John, you have a listener list for us.
It's true. I do.
Well, let's have it. What do you got?
This is from Tango Gemini.
Hey.
Number 3, Doom Eternal. They kind of turned Doom into that is hard to say, is turned Doom into a first-person character action game, and it's even more frantic than before. Killing demons still feels really, really good, but you have more tools at your disposal in terms of movement and such. It's a lot to get used to. Number 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake. This game is all about the character writing. Obviously, Aerith steals the show, but the perfect portrayal of Cloud as the socially awkward loner who tries so hard to look like he's the coolest and most aloof is not to be understated. Also, the honeybee inn scene. Amazing. Number 1, 80s. This is the best roguelike I've ever played. The story and characters and writing are all top-notch, but the gameplay has kept me coming back for over 150 hours. It's just a really good action game.
That game, Hades. That one's on my list. That one's on my I gotta play that.
I think. Remember when I was talking about you guys to Dead Cells earlier, and how like everyone on my Steam list that has played Hades has played it for like over 30 hours.
Yeah.
It turns out that is kind of reflected in these lists.
That's awesome.
It's a very popular game. I think after reading some of these, I am also like, gonna have to check that out at some point.
Yeah, like everybody. Everybody I watch stream regularly plays this game, so it's just like, God.
It's like how when Celeste was just getting overwhelmingly praised, and I was just like, okay, whatever, it can't be that good. Like, it feels like this has that same level of just absolute adoration from everybody that has played it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely my sense with it, too. Cool. Polly.
Yes, I have us another list. This one comes from Strex, who I believe is somebody that's popped by my stream on a number of occasions.
Oh, nice.
So this is their list. I do not believe that this list is in any particular order, unless the list proves me wrong while I'm reading it, because we don't pre-read these. The first game on their list is Umineko no Naku Koroni. Ryukishi 7 just goes off the rails crazy this time, and I was 100% on board the whole way. Without love, it cannot be seen. The second game listed is The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4. A 600-hour journey I'll always hold dear, and a standard for long-form story and world building. And their third listed game is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. A complete masterclass in art and storytelling. I recommend this game to anyone as one of my favorite pieces of media, period. Thanks for all the podcasts and streams that brought me joy and comfort in such a shitty year. Strex. Well, thank you, Strex, for taking time to send us a list. We appreciate it.
And for penning what is potentially the most on-brand Sockscast submission list.
Yeah, that's a pretty goddamn if you were to look at a Sockscast approved list that you think would be one, that would absolutely probably be it.
Yeah.
It's sort of that specific kind of story that we all eat up.
Yeah, every single bit of that list is like the most Sockscast energy.
Long, big, tons of characters, very genre, big catharsis.
Yeah.
Lots of emotion.
Yep.
Goes a bit crazy at points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most on brand, Strex. You fit right in.
You fit right in. So we've got the first of our audio lists. Our audio heroes are coming through, and this one comes from somebody we have not heard from in a while.
Aw.
They say, yo, Sunburst Baser here. How's that name ring a bell, huh?
Hey.
Mr. Shmups himself, the bassist extraordinaire. I had time to do a little gaming this year and actually played something new to me. Instead of just replaying Super Metroid and Battle Garega for a million times, I decided to record my own description. I do watch your YouTube vids when I can still. I can't use Twitch because my internet is way too slow. Hope you're all doing well. Stay healthy. So that was his text intro for his audio list, which we are going to start in 3, 2, 1, play.
Hey all, this is Sunburst Baser, and these are my top 3 games for 2020. My first game up is called The Grandstream Saga, released for the original PlayStation. The Grandstream Saga was made by the same people who made Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terra Enigma. Like those games, it features many elements of light and dark, good and evil, and reincarnation. Unlike those games, it was made entirely in 3D. As an early 3D game, it has some fairly janky physics and movement, but it does have a unique combat system and an interesting magic system that sadly was not developed as far as it could have been. The Grandstream Saga is full of many secrets, including magic spells, armor, and weapons, and includes some very difficult moral choices for the player to make. My second game up is called Dragon's Curse. Dragon's Curse is one of many Wonder Boy games. The specific one I played was on the TurboGrafx 16. Dragon's Curse is somewhat of a Metroidvania, but unlike something like Super Metroid, you do not gain permanent power-ups. Instead, you turn into different animals, and only at certain parts of the game can you switch between those forms. Each one opens up one part while locking off another part. It does make the game somewhat frustrating, but it does play well, has good music, and very bright, colorful graphics. My third game for the year was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I have played most of the later Castlevania games with the same open-world features, and I finally felt it was time to play the original. I find it hard to find anything negative to say about Symphony of the Night. The level design, the weapons and sub-weapons, the armor, the experience system, the way Alucard moves, all of it is very, very well done. Even the voice acting, despite being very cheesy, is pretty standard for a 90s video game, and honestly, it has kind of a B-movie charm to it. I thoroughly enjoyed the game, and I look forward to replaying it in the future. Those have been my 3 games. Take care, y'all. This is Sunburst Baser, signing out.
The Grandstream Saga is so overlooked. It's such a jam. I really, really love that game. It is a super solid PS1 RPG if you ever get the chance to play it.
Nice.
Like, that game is so good.
Basically, like every 2 or 3 months, I load up footage of Grandstream Saga, and I'm just kind of logging like, oh, this looks so nice. I should play this at some point. I don't, but I want to.
It's a very, very good video game, John. I promise. Like, it'll be your jam. I promise you. Just play it. Just play it.
Dope.
I really like Dragon's Curse as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
I played the original TurboGrafx one as a kid and then the remake recently.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there was a remake, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's very nice looking. And a little bit easier now.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I can understand. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, Dragon's Curse is the remake of the Master System Dragon's Trap. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That series is weird.
In the remake, you can just
Dragon's
straight up
Curse,
switch to the Master System graphics and audio.
Yes, which is dope.
Which is
so that's
amazing.
to me a moment. Because I think a lot of people are familiar with Dragon's Trap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Good list, Sunburst.
That's a solid list. And thanks again, Sunburst. It's always good to hear from you. Glad to hear you're out there still doing well and enjoying some real good video games from the sound of it. All right, Rhett.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey! So now we can get to your actual list, it sounds like. All right, the actual list proper. Rhett, let's have ourselves a number 8.
This is one you're not going to be surprised that showed up on here, but, towards the bottom. Number 8, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, #FE.
Yeah, like,
the game that I struggled to beat all year.
Yeah, you were struggling with this one, but it sounded like you came out the other side feeling pretty good.
I never disliked it. I just fell off it really early, and then the pandemic happened. Like I started it in February, and then in March it was like, hold up. Right. I remember the exact timeline was that I started this as like a way of doing Symphogear withdrawal,
Oh wow!
thinking
Oh,
thinking that this would be Symphogear adjacent enough to tide me over, and then it wasn't, and I immediately and then late February is when I rewatched the entire series. So I didn't need Tokyo Mirage Sessions immediately after that. But then
You fell off the wagon 100%.
yeah. And then I think in July I did finally pick it back up and then fell off again for another month and finished in September. But I got there and I never disliked it. I really liked it. Like, just that dungeon crawling vibe, and the characters are great. They really kind of carry the whole thing. Like, the music videos you unlock are really good, and then having those songs show up as attacks in the game is always funny to me.
It's very silly.
Yeah. It's silly in a way that...
There's so much mocap and choreography. Like, it's really well done.
Yeah. The story is sweet, even though it turns into... It just does go full Fire Emblem by the end.
Yeah.
And that last boss fight, I don't... Remember when I was, like, talking about it last time, how I was paused during the last boss?
Yeah, you had one hit left, I think.
I think I was towards the end of the fight. As we recorded, I just had it paused, and then I resumed and was like, did a few more rounds, and then he KO'd 2 of my party members, and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going to lose again. my finger is hovering over the change to easy mode button.
Oh, no.
But then I had like a full meter, so with my last attack on the last guy standing, was able to pull it out.
fantastic.
Because the boss also had like 0.05 HP left. I'm like, well, one of us is dying in the next hit. Oh, it's you, thank God. Yeah, that's a fun time, even though I will never touch a Shin Megami Tensei game.
Dude, Nocturne, come on. You gotta get on that Nocturne train.
Nah.
We're all taking the Nocturne trip, Rhett.
Nah.
Like it or not, we're all doing it.
Nah.
Yeah, Rhett, you're gonna have to. You gotta take one for the team.
Doesn't have idols like
It
this
looks
does.
so pretty.
You played Pokemon. You can handle this. Shin Megami
No.
Tensei is way better anyway.
Did Pokemon make my top 10 last year? I fucking hope not. I don't think it did.
I'd have to listen back.
I don't think
I don't
it
think
did.
so.
I think it was like the last game I beat before cutting it off.
And then, nope.
Yeah, and then immediately. But of course not. So, John, you got us to number 8?
So your number 10 was sort of the gotta be true to yourself. Gotta be true to your
very,
ideas.
very, very true to myself.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
John, there are many ways
No,
you can be true to yourself.
This might not be what you're thinking. But I had like I had kind of a cool entry in this one, which is another good itch game. And I'll talk about all those in the probably honorable mentions, I bet, right before the end. And then I was like, nah, though, I really gotta be honest. And my number 8 is Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, nice. You told me
Nice.
this might be not make your list.
I told you, like, pretty concernedly, like, oh, that one's not gonna cut it, though. And then I was like, oh, well.
It goes real hard, John. It goes real hard.
It's big and
For, like,
stupid
the
enough
last-
that it made it,
For like
right?
the last 20, it's for like the last 25 hours, that game just goes.
so good.
It's so good. Xenoblade Chronicles is just like big, dumb
Big.
anime catharsis game.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it. And I had a really good time with
Aw.
it. And I finished it just like, oh my god, yes, I'm here for this universe. And then 3 days later, I started Xenogears. Just like that was how much I was feeling it. I was just like, and I'm still in the middle of that one. But yeah, I really liked Xenoblade. I don't think that it's like completely pulls me in with the characters like a lot of the RPGs we really love do. But I think that it builds to its big climaxes in ways that are really well done, and it pays off all of the threads it sets up.
Yeah.
And it just went so much harder than I expected at the end.
I told
Even
you.
with Red setting me up. Even with Red setting me up, I was just like, oh, wow, yeah. All right.
I think I tweeted something like, games that go harder than Xenoblade, and then just nothing after that.
Nothing. Nothing.
So yeah, I like it's still a weird single player MMO game. It's got a lot of that weird baggage.
Mhm.
I was able to enjoy it. I didn't like try to 100% it or anything. I just had a nice time enjoying it.
You'd still be playing it. If
I pasted pictures of a screenshot of Baller Scuba's Let's Play of that, where he actually finished it, and like main story is 98 videos, with all of the side quests is 500 videos.
Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot about this that would puts me off as a game, as something you play, but they just nail that main thread so fucking hard. And I can't help but just be like pretty much in love. So Xenoblade Chronicles, my number 8.
Cool.
Holly.
Yo, got a number
What's
8.
your number 8?
Got a hot number 8 in it for you. Got a hot number 8, but it's got a number in it. My number 8 is One Shot. This is the, I don't know how the hell we missed this video game when it came out. Like, I'm just still in awe. This is a game that somehow, like, flew under all of our radar, despite being entirely our shit.
Yep.
I saw the thumbnail for years, or like at least a year, and just didn't really give it a go because I didn't like the thumbnail that much.
Oh, I think the thumbnail's cute.
Was definitely trying to show it to me though.
Yeah, like,
and I kept going, oh, looks like NES hot.
Oh no!
Because of the way the light bulb is the O.
Yeah, it does.
NES hot.
NES hot. Oh my god. So, man, this is just an absolutely lovely narrative focused world exploration game with a lot of unique and fun interactions, a great cast of characters, a main character you absolutely want to give all the hugs and pancakes to, and just a lot of that good meta shit that we all come to know and love. Like, this game digs into the meta shit in a way that just blew my entire fucking mind out of the back of my head. The ways that this game plays with the idea of being a part of the world, and the tools it uses to kind of immerse you in that experience. It's just the finest and most intelligent use of using the meta layer, and the player kind of being perceived as a god of a world. Like, it's some of the most cool and fun shit I've ever seen. Like, there are so many moments in this game that I want to talk about, but I literally don't want to ruin it for anybody because this game is just that damn cool. And like I said, it just still astonishes me that this game is entirely our shit, and we somehow just right over our heads somehow. I don't know. Yep. I don't know how I did that.
Well, we found it eventually.
I'm really thankful we did. Yep. Also, this is this is a crazy reworked RPG Maker game too. So guess what? More RPG Maker representation.
I truly don't know how they do the stuff that they do in RPG Maker.
Yeah, they're using like external programs that launch as well. Like, there's just so much shit going on. It's to see it in, like, this is a game where you got to play it, you got to immerse yourself in the world and the narrative, and like give yourself over to what's happening. Let yourself enjoy it, and don't play it full screen. Because the game does not play well with that. Because a lot of its tricks require the window, to be the window, and for you to see things outside of the window.
I think you can play a lot of it early on.
Yeah,
full screen. You will know when you need to play windowed.
Yeah. But man, I just remember sitting there constantly being blown away and just like. Not only just how cool the things that were happening and what they meant for what was happening in the world, but just sitting there thinking, like, how did you rig all this up, like, to work this way? What kind of programming magic are you doing here to make this? How did you do that?
It's really impressive.
Yeah, like, man. Yeah, I cannot recommend One Shot enough. If you were into that crazy, just off the wall, bonkers shit that we kind of get ourselves into on this show.
Yeah.
This is absolutely another one of those jams, and I cannot recommend it enough. So, Rhett, I understand
Hi.
that you have another listener list for us.
Yes, this one comes into long-term friend of the site, Gesh86.
Hey, all the way from Germany.
Yes. Hello, Mitandanda Sockscast crew. I may not be as active nowadays on the internet anymore, but I absolutely want to contribute a list when I saw your video in my feed. Here goes. Number 1, Neo 2 for PS4. Neo 2 does a few things better than the already amazing Neo 1. More importantly, it does no things worse than the already amazing Neo 1. It's just an all-around spectacular action RPG I have yet to tire of. And number 2, Ghost of Tsushima for PS4.
There's a pattern here.
There's definitely a pattern in these first two, yeah. And number 3 is actually Sekiro. It's not. Okay. Number 2, Ghost of Tsushima, an open-world action game that somehow succeeds in making the conquest of Mongolian war cab number 27 fulfilling and exciting. Stealth is also done just right, and the story went in the direction I hadn't expected. And number 3, this is actually kind of a swerve given the previous two. Number 3, Fire Emblem 3 Houses for Switch. Bernadetta is a magnificent mess, and it's good to see her mostly sort out her issues over time.
She's such a good character.
This game also has great map design, exciting encounters, and a clever system because it's a strategy RPG and not primarily about waifus. Bisbald. Gesh 86.
It's a good pal, Gesh.
I actually saw Bernie on my timeline. Some fan art on my timeline. I was like, oh, it's been a bit. Every day I see Bernie fan art on my timeline. Good day.
Yeah, she's a solid character, and I actually like having watched a Let's Play of that game. They do her character right. There's a character that's dealing with the issues she's dealing with. She turns out she's a good kid.
Good. Cool. Bernadetta 3 Houses.
Yeah, Bernadetta 3 Houses. That's all you need to know. John, I understand that you've got a listener list. All right, well let's hear. Who's it from?
This is from Freezing Inferno. This is going to be an interesting. This is going to be a different flavor because this is actually all games that came out this year.
Oh shit! I was looking for another. I was looking for another 3 games, and it's just Battletoads again, like he does every year.
Hey, Polly.
Let's put out on this hell year and talk about some nice video games. Number 3, Battletoads 2020.
I want to quit. I want to quit.
I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I did, but thanks to a gifted Xbox One and Game Pass, I paid nothing for it. The humor of the thing is incredibly subjective, but it's the gameplay which matters. It certainly feels like Battletoads in that it is a beat-em-up which quickly shifts genres and keeps itself varied and fun. Very rough around the edges, and some of the minigames just plain suck, but as a resident Battletoads beater, I have to say it isn't half bad. Number 2, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon 2. The original Curse of the Moon was a surprising spiritual successor to Castlevania 3, which managed to improve upon its inspiration. This game's more of it, and quite a lot more. More branching paths, more playable characters, more campaigns. Not all of it works, and there are some bosses that are just a little too busy for my liking, but there's enough new old action platforming here for me to really get into it. Also, it has a corgi in a steampunk mech suit. Modern art.
Literally the best part of that game.
I'm really excited for that one because I really love the first Curse of the Moon.
That one definitely snuck up and kind of went under the radar, it seems.
It sounds like a lot of people that really like the first one kind of aren't digging the second one as much.
That's rough.
Yeah.
I'm glad Fred's enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. A populist choice, but an honest one. We are all about living up to our ideals here.
Yeah.
Living according to our ideals. Not only did it drop at just the right time in March when everything went to hell, but it's just a very polished and very good expansion of an old game I played 15 years ago. More than just a welcome distraction from Hellworld, though, the game actually gets a little brave and bold with its retelling, giving you exactly what you expect before pulling the rug right out from under you in a way I've not seen since Danganronpa. It's crunchy and brilliant and puts the ball in the air for their follow-up, and it's my game of the year. Have a good New Year, Sox friends, and fingers crossed for the next one to be better.
Cool. Amen to that. Jeez.
It was funny when that came out like a week or two after Animal Crossing, and it was just like, wow, did not think the games that people would be playing right now were like Doom, Animal Crossing, and Final Fantasy VII.
Man, that was funny though, because like as the pandemic hit, like I had mine pre-ordered at a local GameStop, so I actually I couldn't get it for like 3 weeks.
They fucking closed.
Which I understandable. I'm not bemoaning the fact that they closed for the health of their employees. I'm not bemoaning that, but it's just at the time I was just like, oh man, I could really use this.
It was like Animal Crossing was just in at the buzzer, and then shit hit, and then that came out like as stuff was really
as
close.
it was, right in the middle of it. Yeah. Cool. So, Rhett,
Hey.
we're moving on up to number 7.
So these next 4 games on my list, I really had a hard time ranking them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are all extremely close to me and, like, how much I like them. And I joked about John where I was literally going to bring back the box and pull them the name and just do them at random, but I did finally settle on an order.
Just
and I'm glad I did.
Just say they're all tied for 4th.
Well, no, I came up with an order. It is important that this one is number 7 because it's a game we haven't talked about yet. My number 7 is One Shot.
Oh, hey. Nice.
Yeah, so I never really talked about this on the podcast much because I think I did, like, I started it in a busy week, so I kind of was like, yeah, I'm playing One Shot too, like right at the end of the Sockscast.
Yeah.
And then that Sunday night after we recorded, I played it for like 6 more hours and finished it completely.
Nice.
Like, just got so into it and just binged the whole thing.
Yeah, it's
then,
so
like,
easy to fall in. Like, once the story kicks up and you start seeing what's going on, it's like, oh, I've got to keep going now.
Yeah, like, I was right at that point where it's like, oh, well, I beat it, but there seems to be more. I'm going to keep playing. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's a really good time. Like, the biggest flaw for me is that the things it evokes are, like, a lot of meta stuff from, like, Undertale and Danganronpa V3 and other stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, it's really swinging for the fences against some all-time greats, and it doesn't, I think, hit as hard as those.
Yeah, I would agree.
But, like, of course it wouldn't. But, like, I think it still stands on its own 2 feet, and it does things I haven't seen in any other game before.
Yeah.
And the very, very final thing in this game that happens...
Oh my god, dude. I did not think that, like, seeing something like that would be something that kind of, like, messed me up a lot. But I was like, oh my god. It's so good.
The reaction I had, so you're at the end, you think it has no tricks left, and then a thing happens...
And you're just...
That literally... I think I shouted, what? Stood up out of my seat, and then started crying.
Yep.
Like, it was just this insane trick gut punch.
I've never seen anything. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, they know how to end it so definitively.
It's the perfect ending.
So it's like, holy fucking shit, did this game just do that?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you can't hype it up too much, but like being caught off guard by it was so amazing.
Yeah. Not knowing that was coming.
Yeah.
It's just, whew.
And just those whole, like, you know, last 6 hours, and then when it really starts to really go for it, like, very good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this game a lot.
Nico is very good.
Yeah. This is why I was a little quiet when you were doing yours, because I'm like, I'm about to talk about that game too. Yeah, One Shot. We will give it 2 recommendations now.
Absolutely.
Almost Sockscast approved.
Almost.
It's probably going to be there soon.
Yeah.
I own it.
Good,
Cool.
good.
I think, well, we'll mention that later. Almost everybody should actually own this.
Yeah, it was in the...
Yeah,
It was in that big pack of games.
It sure was. So, John, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is going to be Queen's Wish: The Conqueror.
Hey!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is the first classic PC-style Western RPG I have played to completion. And it's a beefy one. It's like 40 to 50 hours. And I played through all of it. And Spiderweb Software, Jeff Vogel, they have been making games like this since the 90s. It's a largely spearheaded by one person with a couple freelancers helping out. And it's just like 20, 25 of these games since the 90s. It's its whole history. It's very cool. It's very cool to me. And this was their most recent release, and I bought it because it was available on phones. And I'm like, yep, if I can play on my phone, I want to play it.
Play games on phones.
So I played this entire 50-hour Western RPG on my PC RPG on my phone, and it was great.
I think the longest I've ever played a game on my phone was either Doom RPG back in the day on my Razor 2 or Monument Valley. One of those two.
Monument Valley is very short. So
yeah, so it was probably Doom RPG.
I've seen footage of that, which it's very funny.
That game's dope, man.
Cool, I believe it. Go ahead, Rhett.
I'm trying to visualize like Doom 2016 RPG.
Yeah, because Doom like a dragon.
Doom like a dragon.
Right. That's a game that. Oh my god.
Could happen.
Like a demon.
I'm just seeing like a Revenants pop up with like a Dragon Quest HUD. It's so good.
I think in Doom Eternal you get a sword as well. Sorry.
Fantastic. I love the sword. I love seeing the sword every time in ads. I was like, oh, you're touching a part of my brain. Like
swords are cool.
Swords are very cool.
The swords are cool. It's part of my brain. So the thing with Queen's Wish is that the fights are like tactical on a grid, but the grid is also the map that you're on. All of the combat encounters are handcrafted for the level in question. So it's always like we place the monsters in these positions on this dungeon map. And a lot of the time they do like extra custom work to further differentiate the fights. So every dungeon, and there's a lot of dungeons, feels like a differentiated, interesting thing. You only get XP when you finish a quest. And if you leave a dungeon and come back, everything respawns. All the monsters respawns. All of the treasure is useful. They specifically, a big change apparently for this one from the previous ones is that you can't really grind, and the treasure is all useful. Nice. There's also a base building mechanic to it, sort of, where you are over time building up your colonies across this country, essentially. And you get both resources from fighting that make your character stronger, and also resources for building up your forts. And the way the fort feeds in directly into making your character stronger is really satisfying. It's a lot of small numbers where everything you get has a noticeable big effect. It's just like it's the opposite of Xenoblade, where it's just like pure exactly what I want out of like an RPG as a play experience. And it's open-ended. You have like 3 different spires of quest lines basically that you can go attack in any order, and all of those are made up of things that you can attack in different orders. So it's almost all like you start the game, 10 minutes in, go.
Here's what you can do. Go.
And you go for 50 hours, and the writing's really good. It's really fucking good writing, and it actually manages to go really hard in the end. In a really, really cool way. It's obviously playing with a lot of like colonialism stuff.
Oh, your mom wants you to do a colonialism, doesn't she?
That's it.
Your mom wants you to do a colonialism. I wouldn't, if you like are completely repulsed by that stuff, by like Settlers of Catan or whatnot, this might not be your jam.
I understand.
But like to me, it had enough like edge and melancholy and moments of introspection to make it really work for me, especially when it all comes to a head in the climax in a really cool way. So I don't think it's doing that stuff thoughtlessly was my takeaway. Although my read on that stuff doesn't really matter.
Right.
So I really came away from this. I definitely want to play the next Queen's Wish game whenever those come out. Just because everything that's different about this one is stuff that I'm especially pleasing to me, like the no XP.
Like basically. This is very this couldn't have been a more John game.
In a lot of ways,
yeah.
I had a fucking ball with it, and I'm really excited to play more Spiderweb Software games. It got me playing other Western RPGs. I'm ready. I'm fucking ready. I'm ready for this. I've false started.
All right.
With this whole genre for years, and now it's like, all right, this is it. This is going to be my way in.
Watch out, Fallout. Here comes John. Watch out.
Really, yes.
Watch out, watch out, Neverwinter Nights. Here comes John.
Probably Baldur's Gate next. I had a good time with Coder.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate's cool.
Yeah, I'm going to play that one. Polly!
Yo!
What's your number 7?
Got a number 7. How y'all feel about visual novels?
They're okay.
I love them.
John loves them. Brett's a little, I don't know. Brett's like, wait, what you gotta do all the reading for? I don't know.
I just want to punch
I
stuff.
just want to punch stuff. I want to punch mountains. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
My number 7 is Steins Gate, linear bounded pentagram.
Nice.
So I guess kind of like the worst part of this, though, is that you have to hold against this one, is that you can only play this if you buy Steins Gate Elite on PC or PS4. Given the fact that I like Steins Gate, this may not be a big deal because I had interest in the Elite version anyway, and I was like, if I want to share this story with people, I'm going to stream it, and I think that Elite is probably an easy version to do that with. So picking up Elite for like $10 was easy when it came with Linear Bounded Pentagram, which is a collection of short stories written in the Steins Gate universe that are all original, and there's hey, that's cool. But like for others, this one's probably a lot harder to sell. But I can still recommend it based on the fact that I think that Steins Gate is like a great story with really good characters. So that's kind of like the strength of this little series of like original short stories. Like they're by different authors. They're not by the same person that wrote the original game. But he did supervise to kind of obviously make sure that they're playing within the boundaries and making sure everything kind of makes sense. But basically what we get are these 2 to 4 hour stories from the perspective of pretty much every major protagonist throughout the story, even people like you wouldn't expect, like Mr. Brown. Like, wow, I'm getting a story. I'm getting his story? That's interesting. But there are all these touching little vignettes that play around with the mechanics of the Steins Gate universe that they established so well in that original game about what they can and can't do with time travel and what time travel is and isn't. And they tell a lot of just really heavy, impactful, emotional stories that really caught me off guard because I didn't, like going into this thing, I didn't think that it was going to be very serious at all because the first story is Rentaro Okabe, who is the main character. He's the Chuny boy, mad scientist. He has a superhero alter ego where he's Alpaca Man.
Oh, jeez.
And he fights crime. But like as that story played out over the course of the 2 hours that it is, and you get to like the last 30 minutes, and like there's a trick that you start seeing. It's like, oh no. This is something else entirely. There goes my fucking heart. You can't do this to me, Steins Gate. You can't keep doing this. And it does it every time. And it does it every damn time.
They can't keep getting away with this.
And they keep doing it. But yeah, like you get all these cute little 2 to 4 hour vignettes with these characters that we don't get to be in the head of throughout the main game. And there's just a lot of really interesting and meaty character exploration. And this is another case of, wow, it really reminded me of how much I really like this cast of characters. Despite the caveats that I would offer ahead of time in recommending Steins Gate, I still think that these characters are very easy to become attached to. You really feel the stakes. Like when they're in trouble, you really do care because you've grown like emotionally attached to these doofuses in this mad scientist's little lab because they're just all outcast scientists doing their own thing that ended up sucked into this bigger overarching plot, and you can't help but root for them and their happiness. A lot of these stories kind of help you appreciate the happiness that they're able to get through the true ending in the original game and things like that. And it plays around like within that timeline or with alternate timelines that feed into various endings that already exist. So having that knowledge fresh in your mind of the original Steins Gate obviously helps with linear bounded pentagram. And it's just like there's not a bad story in the bunch is what surprised me. Because usually with like an anthology like this, you kind of expect that there's going to be maybe a dud or two.
But none of these stories hit with a resounding thud. Like, they were all just like, I came out of all of them just very happy to have gone on that journey. Even if it's characters who I initially didn't really care that much about being in the head of. Like, it was like, I mean, whatever. I'm just in Mr. Brown's head. And then they go and tell this amazingly touching story about him and his daughter. And it's just, oh, man. Oh, man. So, yeah, like I said, it's kind of a hard recommend because you have to buy Steins Gate Elite to get it. But I really, really, really like this anthology of stories. There's like 12 of them. It'll take you about 24, 26 hours to get through them all. But they're all really good, really well thought out, really well put together. And despite the fact that they're not written by the original author, they still kind of have that same care and consistency put into the world and the way the characters react. So like there's not any out of character shenanigans that like or where the writing doesn't feel like it's true to the original. Like it's just, this is a very well set of stories that I think is a real bummer that it's not just being sold as its own thing, because it absolutely should be more accessible. Like I think that this is just having these may not be just as vital as maybe Steins Gate Zero, which is kind of an alternative telling of like that splinters off from the bad ending of that game of the original. But I think that these stories like they offer a lot of value, and having them locked behind another $40 to $60 purchase is just a bit of a bummer.
Oh.
Well, I think the idea of big VN world with a bunch of cool rules and whatnot, and then having multiple good VNs, and then we got a bunch of other cool writers to write their own short novella in this world.
Yeah.
Is something that I'm just extremely here for. I think that completely fucking rules.
Yeah. Like it's...
I'm trying to figure out where John is putting the Fate reference in there.
There's no reference. I just think that's...
Is that not something Fate has done? I mean...
I don't think...
That's not something I'm referencing.
I mean,
I just
Fate...
think that's...
I mean, Fate Go, that's written by a lot of different writers, but I don't think that he was going for that. I think it's just the general idea of what this is. You know, other people taking control of this big world with established rules and characters and being able to play around with them. I mean, you gave Kotaro Uchikoshi control of this world. Believe me, the man had a lot of fun. It's like I don't know that I would call it the best story in here, but it's goddamn good.
Excellent. I wasn't thinking in terms of like any referencing anything else. I was thinking in terms of, God, I would love to have a world that fleshed out at some point that I could turn it over to friends and have them make cool shit.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. It's such a cool thing that they were able to do, and it's it kind of lends itself that like being a time travel story and having like these established rules and these characters. It lends itself to that fanfic format, right?
Especially when they can be like, this one takes place after this bad ending.
Yeah, like you could there's so many places to start from and end from and to tie back into it. It's such a cool way to get people into writing if you think about it. So yeah, Steins Gate, linear bounded Pentagram. You have to buy Elite on PC or PS4 to get it, but
maybe it'll be on sale for Christmas.
Maybe it'll be on sale for Christmas. Like these are going up around Christmas time. Check your local, check your stores, check Steam, all that fun stuff. Yeah, Steins Gate, linear bounded Pentagram. That is my number 7. So, what do you say? We jump from me right back to me.
Okay.
With another listener list. What do you say?
Cool.
We got one of these. This comes from Thomas the Jetstorm 4.
Oh.
That's our... remember him? I remember him. He was a good guy. Sad about what happened, though. You hate to hear it.
No!
Ollie, it's like 2 weeks before these go up. You don't know what has just happened.
Man, I should probably edit that out. Oh, man. Put a reminder here. Edit that out.
In case something actually happens.
In case something actually happens. Also, forget to edit it out because it's really funny. So, okay. Jetstorm 4 says...
Okay.
Hey, Sockscast! 2020 was a year, huh? Hey, at least I finished something this year. I also played some really good video games. Here are the top 3 of these. 3. The Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel 4, PS4. While a lengthy game, my playthrough came out at around 123 hours, it serves as an excellent finale that follows up everything I wanted out of this series and gave me the closure I needed for Reen, his friends, his students, his rivals, and his enemies. It left me as a puddle sobbing on the floor, shouting to myself, "He used the void to cleave the darkness, the Sen no Kiseki," which honestly all video games should make me do. Number 2, Moon RPG Remix Adventure, Switch. I've looked forward to one day playing this game for more than 10 years, ever since I first heard about it. Moon has always been a mysterious piece of work around here due to its release and attempts of any kind of English language translation not working out. Turns out it's an adventure game with some very good world building, puzzles, cute minigames, a really hard puzzle, and an interesting point of view. It also left me as a puddle, sobbing on the floor, shouting to myself. But this time I had the door open. And number 1, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I've always liked Vanillaware ever since Muramasa the Demon Blade. With an artist like George Kimitani, I could always expect excellent art design, even if the game is not that great like the original Odin Spear or Dragon's Crown. And working with Base Escape, I can get my Hitoshi Sakamoto and friends compositions that go very well with these. This is no different for 13 Sentinels, except they did it. Vanillaware put together their best game. The stars aligned, and Vanillaware created a wonderful game that uses popular mecha, science fiction, fantasy, time travel, American film, Japanese history, and food, all to service a story for the ages. Oh, and the game plays really well, too. This also left me on the floor sobbing, not shouting this time. I was all out. Thank you all for the wonderful content this year. Happy New Year. Thomas the Jetstorm 4L. That's a damn good video game list there. Jesus.
Some of these lists are nuts this year, for sure.
I'm sitting here and I thought that my list this year is like, man, I was struggling a little bit. Like, I kind of felt like everything's a little shaky except maybe like the top half of my list. But then you hear these lists of these guests and they're just all so fucking stacked. And it's just like, man, I remember that video games are good again.
They can be.
They can be all right. So, Rhett, I understand that you've got a list from our favorite Sockscast listener. This one is always a treat. I am so happy to be here for this. Thank you once again. Rhett, hit me.
Okay, this comes in from Don 1989.
Woo!
Hello, dear members of the Sockscast and John.
It hits me every time.
Every time.
Every fucking time.
As it is the fine Sockscast tradition, I want to share my top 3 games of this year. But first, I have to apologize for a terrible mistake with my list last year. My last list in the previous year.
Uh-oh.
I am truly and utterly sorry that I said something nice about John for once.
Oh. I'll let it pass. I'll let it slide this time.
You all had to pay for it when he backstabbed Shovel Knight and killed a poor defenseless podcast in return. I can assure you it will never happen again. Anyway, here is my list. So someone did remember.
Oh, God. I knew that there was a reason Dawn is my favorite listener.
Okay, number 3, Double Cross. This fine game combines Bionic Commando with its incredibly entertaining grapple hook gameplay with Ace Attorney, as you're playing as an interdimensional police officer who has to figure out the identity of a master criminal. This game features 3 major worlds with several levels, each with unique tricks like running for your life from a giant slime monster, fighting your way through a convoy of trucks, and eventually blowing them up to a shockingly entertaining stealth level. Between levels and big boss fights, the heroine talks to her weirdo coworkers and tries to locate the person that is trying to murder all of them. Number 2, Under Hero. This one is a bit of an anti-RPG with jump and run elements. You are playing as an underling of the local evil underlord and actually kill the legendary hero in the first few minutes of the game. So your boss sends you out to bring back the 3 important items that the hero had collected to their respective bosses, and there's far more to the story than you would expect at first glance. The real highlight is the combat system that works like a fusion of Final Fantasy's active time battle with Mario and Luigi's combat system, meaning you can actually dodge and counter all attacks if you're good enough. And number 1, Assault Android Cactus Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I utterly love, in all caps, love this game. You play as a group of androids having to take back a spaceship from a robot uprising, and this is easily the best twin-stick shooter I have ever played. The game has just the right balance between difficulty and easing newcomers into it, between all characters working on the same basic principle, but being different enough to provide new ways to play the game. Between not having its story get in the way of gameplay, but the characters being full of personality and charm. If you've not played this, do yourself a favor and do so, if just for the amazing bosses with shmup-style attacks. Personally, I also super love this game.
Yeah, I remember you playing
a while ago.
Yeah, this was a bit ago.
I love this game.
Would you also recommend Nex Machina to them then? Because it sounds like this is something that would be it sounds like that game would be completely up their alley if they like Assault Android Cactus.
I think so, because Nex Machina, and this were like my 2 favorite twin-stick shooters. The levels in this one are just, they're so smooth. Like, you just kill thousands of enemies in like these little like 2 to 3 minute arenas that just never get boring because it's over quick enough. Okay, end of the email. Maybe I will even forgive John if he does not murder another podcast this time.
That remains to be seen.
Yep. Finally, I wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and that this next year will be better than this one. It can only go up at this point.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Ooh boy. Yeah. Okay. So, how do y'all feel about another audio list?
I'd feel great about that.
Feel great about another audio list? Well, this audio list comes in
Hell yeah.
from our good pal, Jet Jag. Jet Jag's solid people. Mm-hmm. And so we are going to go hit play on Jet's list in 3, 2, 1, play.
Hello, Rhett, John, and Polly, who I am sure is giggling at whatever duck joke she played before this. It's your old pal Jet, and I thought I'd mix things up this year and record my Game of the Year list. Before we start, I'd like to give a quick honorable mention to Kamen Rider Memory of Heroes. While it's a simple licensed action game that doesn't quite match up to its contemporaries, it lets me play as Kamen Rider Double and O's with all their forms, and when you hit triangle and circle, it goes, Joka! Maximum Drive! And goddammit, that makes me happy. Going to the main list, number 3 goes to Crash Bandicoot 4. I was looking forward to this game for a while, and it did not disappoint. It offers solid platforming and level design, along with a plethora of unlockable content, no microtransactions. Although it loses some points for the 100% completion requirements being a bit insane. Number 2 goes to Persona 5 Royale. I waited a while to finally play this game, and it was worth the wait. Charming characters, an interesting story, all wrapped with stellar music and intuitive combat. It really made me see why the game gained such a large fan base. Although it probably shouldn't let you date Futaba. Number 1 goes to a game that I don't really play much anymore, but is easily the game that I spent the most time playing this year. Animal Crossing New Horizons came out at the right time, and it was the perfect escape from the fuckery this year brought us. This is my best game of the year, and I'll be revisiting it very soon.
Thank you, Jet. Always a
much,
pleasure. Yeah, you know what? They should not let you date Futaba in Persona 5. Just saying.
Aww.
It's real fucking weird! Yeah, like Crash Bandicoot. Like that game looks surprisingly solid. Like I knew that they did good with those Crash remakes, that trilogy. So I was like, yeah, like let that team make something new and original, and it looks like they came through. Honestly, it looks like a solid ass game.
I've definitely heard a lot of good things about it, but also that the 100% requirement is like completely fucking insane this time.
Yeah,
like hundreds of hours of gameplay insane.
Like the good thing I don't give a shit about 100% in games. Jet, fantastic list, Jet. Thank you for sending us an audio list. It's always appreciated.
Mouth is really dry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not even halfway through.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Rhett, I do believe we need to hear your final pick of the day. Number 6.
This game had an ending that I've been thinking about all year.
Oh, wow.
And I think John knows what I'm talking about. John, I'm still thinking about her. Mission 009 of Wonderful 101.
Yep. Yep.
Just. Maybe I would put an asterisk next to Xenoblade. Like, hardest a game has ever gone, but also Wonderful 101 tries real hard. It does a Gurren Lagann in the same way.
Oh, wow.
I think that Xenoblade goes wider in scope, but
definitely.
in terms of like the emotional scope of the actual execution of it, I
Just
think Wonderful
insane.
101 is bigger. Like you said, the Gurren Lagann comparison is very on point. It goes...
I mean, that's almost exactly what it does, where it's just like, okay, instead of playing as the characters now, they're all inside of giant robots, and you're controlling 101 giant robots at the same time. Like, and then there's an even bigger one that's the final boss. And he tries to punch the Earth, so the Earth has to punch back. Like,
oh my god.
It's just... Like,
It's
my
so
feeling...
fucking good,
it's... Like, the last few hours are just so much. And I don't want to, like, completely slam on the rest of the game, like, oh, whatever. But, like, when I finished the first mission, I was like, man, that was really awesome. I wish I could get emotionally invested in what was happening. And then, like, towards the end, like, mission 7, I was like, okay, I'm starting to finally actually give a shit about the story. And then 8 was really good. Like, 8, I think, has, like, the punch-out thing in the city. Like, it starts to go really hard, and then 9 is just complete insanity. Like, multiple styles of shmup section. There's, like, a 3-4 shmup and a space harrier.
Oh, that's...
And a top-down. And the whole, like, insane, like, regular gameplay is just... It goes so hard.
That feels good. Yeah, I like that kind of
This was a game where it was like, I was like, okay, it's 1 a.m. I go to bed at 5 a.m. I've probably got time to beat this. And then I'm up at like 6 a.m. crying as like the prologue, like redo plays. And then you get to like backer credits. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
We're done here.
It's so fucking good.
So yeah, if there's one...
Go ahead. This is what I said immediately after finishing it. I went, the tendency of Kamiya games to break genre for dramatic effect should be understood as operating on the same formal wavelength as cool indie stuff like Undertale.
Yeah.
I think the image of Kamiya, the action designer, unduly overshadows Kamiya, the skilled storyteller. That was my immediate takeaway from Wonderful 101. It was just like, this punches me in the soul in exactly the way I want games to.
Yeah. I think it is really awesome how it feels old school in the way where it can just switch genre on a dime and not feel like it's really missing a beat at all. Yeah.
Yep.
And that stuff is just so fun, where it's like, as games become like, you know, these billion-dollar fucking extravaganzas, like, having multiple gameplay styles, like, gets more and more impossible if they're trying to keep it all at a certain polish level. So for this to just be like, yeah, there's not just the shmup style, there's like 3 or 4.
Yeah. That's buck fucking wild.
Yeah. God, there's like multiple space harrier references towards the end, where it's like when you're approaching like the final battleship and there's like a dragon mini boss and then a bunch of heads spinning in a circle. Like, literally, we're just actually copying.
Do you think Kamiya likes Space Harrier at all?
Thinks he might a little bit. But like, again, where it has that indie feel of like, just putting your references,
Yeah,
or like
just
your
putting it in there and not even trying, not subtling it up or anything, just throwing it out there, bare ass naked, spread eagle for the world to see.
Here is what is inspired me, what I love, and what, you know, influenced the creation of this game. Here it is. It's very unsubtle. The final thing in this game is like a QTE where you have to mash A, and the word on the screen is like protect Earth.
Yes!
It's so good. That's all you're doing. Just protect Earth. It's extremely good.
I love this game so much. This game is so dope. I love Kamiya.
I thought it's dumb and it's dope.
It's dumb and it's dummy dope. It's dummy dope.
Yeah.
Oh. Good pick.
It's probably the best Kickstarter game I've played.
Well, and that's like weird, given the fact that this game's literally like all you paid for with the Kickstarter was literally just getting the damn thing published.
Yeah. I mean, thank God that it was already done, because it came out in like April.
Yeah.
Like, they would have been fucked if they had to like make it during the pandemic.
Oh God, God, that would have been a disaster.
It was already ready. They just had to hit go.
Yep.
Specifically, though, I mean like Kickstarters that I actually backed.
Right.
It's Undertale, obviously. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, was pleased with that one. How that turned out in the end.
I'm glad that one turned out, because it didn't.
I was
sound
definitely like
it didn't sound like it was going to turn out well for a while.
That middle third is maybe a little weak, where it's like, okay, the whole drawing lines thing, that's sure your game, huh?
Yeah.
But it's just, it has so much heart. It's just, it does what it wants to by the end. So, John.
Yeah?
What's your 6?
My number 6 is the Reggae Operation by my friend Nerf. This is the most... Let me figure out how to say this. This is the most fun I had engaging with something as an action game this year.
Huh.
Just like by a mile. I beat hard mode. I did a 1 life clear of it. I engaged very closely with it. Reggae Operation is a Mega Man fan game built in the Mega Mix engine, where you play as Reggae, the one of Wily's bird bots that never shows up in a playable capacity in any of the games. So the main thing is that all of his attacks are bird themed, and then like instead of a metal blade, you shoot out a little bird. They're all based on actual bird enemies from Mega Man. It's very cute. And so it's got a custom player set with some custom weapons, and then a bunch of really good custom bosses that are just completely over the top, all like hand built. You fight Tango in one of the earlier stages, and it's just completely cute and good. And then a bunch of bosses with all custom sprites. And the way it escalates and the way it builds and the way it just explodes in the last level, which is all one escape sequence.
Nice.
Like one extended escape sequence. Really, really stuck with me. There's shmup sections. It kind of plays into what we were talking about with Wonderful 101, except in the context of like a game that takes 20 minutes to beat once you're familiar with it. So like the kind of game that I enjoy engaging with like closely as an action game a lot more than the big 20-hour game.
Yeah.
I played this game to death. I think it seems meaner than it is. I think once you've engaged with it closely, you realize that it's actually very tightly constructed. And I also helped playtest it and kind of get it where it is, which makes me happy. But I really can't recommend this enough. I think this is, if you want like a good fix for... it goes harder in the end than like the vast majority of actual Mega Man games do. Like, almost all Mega Man games.
Yeah, like I watched you stream a lot of this.
Yeah, a lot of Mega Man games just kind of wet fart at the end. It's like, all right, now we're 8 teleport hatches, and then you fight a Wily capsule, and then that's it. And then this game just fucking goes. I think it's heavily inspired by Ringman and the Castle, which is also, hey, what if instead of trying to do a whole Mega Man game, we do one really good fortress with like 4 levels.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that is like, blows my mind. It's like, oh, you can make Mega Man fan games that have like a really sharp shape. Oh,
There's 5.
I cannot recommend this enough. If you are a fan of action games, I think this one's just stellar.
Cool.
Especially if you like really good kinetic bosses with lots of attacks that it switches between randomly. So you're like always have to be on your toes and managing like your position on the screen so that you can react to different attacks. No matter you learn which attacks could come, and then you set yourself up so you can react to different ones. Oh, I'm smart. I've got a big grin on my face talking about this one.
It's a damn good showing of that Mega engine. Because I have that myself. It's just it's a game maker project that you can open up and sort of start playing with to make your own levels and stuff. I played around a bit with it myself, and it's very, very powerful tool. And you can learn a lot, not just about making Mega Man levels itself, but you can look at like their objects and stuff and get a very good idea of how to handle like objects and stuff in your own game. So like that, like it's a real cool because like and this game in particular shows that with a lot of the custom scripting that Narf has done with in particular with boss AI design, you can learn a lot from that shit, and it's really, really, really cool. So it's a super solid showing.
Yeah, Game Maker rules, Mega Mix rules, Mega Man rules, Narf's music, all custom, all music.
Right,
Narf made
right.
It's great. Fucking dope. Absolutely love this game. That's my number 6. Polly.
Cool. I got a number 6.
What's your number 6?
My number 6. So basically everything on my list so far is it's been either like this pretty sprawling, or heady, really narrative focused, gonna make you cry a lot. Why don't I reel people back in? Why don't I?
Is this our action game block?
Why don't I bring us back in? Bring things back to the wheelhouse people are used to me being in. Val Ferris.
Yep, it is
my number 6. Val Ferris is a...
this game rocks.
This game fucking rocks! Literally! Everything about this game is built on the idea of just being metal. Like, the developers, like, they got one aim in life, and that is to make action games that are inspired in some way by heavy metal. Like, everything in this looks like really great 1980s, 1970s metal album art. Like, this game's got a striking sense of place. Like, it just looks incredible. I love this game's look. It's just everything that it is doing, it is throwing itself into in every way imaginable. But this is just a metal as hell run and gun platforming slasher game that it ticks all my fucking boxes. It's got big ugly ass enemies that explode and bleed real good. It's got levels that are just seeping with identity and character and sense of place. Like, the visuals are striking. The music is perfectly set for what this is. And the action it feels good. Like, shooting the guns, like, the guns feel like, I don't know how they did it, but the guns feel like they got a bit of weight behind them. And your character's got just the right amount of weight, like, by the way they land from jumps and stuff, where they're like, there'll be like a couple of frames where they kind of just stomp down and the screen shakes a little bit. And you get a satisfying thunk.
Yeah.
And just like whipping out your sword and slicing enemies, and you get that sick ass slow down and boom, and just blood flying everywhere. This game is just unbelievably built to appeal to me in every single way. It's not Contra, it's not Metal Slug, it's not Turrican, but it pulls in a lot of the good shit from all of those, and it magnificently plays around with them and feels like its own unique, big, loud, and satisfying thing. Like, that's just kind of like the operative word, I think, for this game. It's just satisfying. Everything feels good to do in this game. From the first enemy you blow up, you just know. Like, it's the perfect amount of screen shake. It's the perfect explosion sound effect. Just enough particles, just enough blood, just enough fire, just enough... It's just metal up your ass. Like, the entire way through. Like, I love this game to bits.
Awesome.
It's just like...
Every single sub-weapon in this game feels like it would be my favorite weapon in another game.
Yeah!
Where it's like, oh, the shotgun in this rules. Also, the missiles rule.
Yeah.
The beam cannon rules. The flamethrower rules. Like, I had a hard time figuring which was my favorite because...
They're all so good!
They all felt so fucking cool.
Like, they're all worth upgrading. Like, you got a limited stock of upgrade things you can throw into it. So it's like having to decide at some point. It's like, oh, man, but I've got to leave this one behind. But if you search the levels enough, you'll find, like, that you can probably power up 4 or 5 weapons to max by the end and still have a couple that are like level 2. So it's not too hard.
Yeah. For most games, I usually just find one weapon and stick to it as most as I can because of upgrade stuff. And in this, I was definitely swapping around as the situation goes and because they've just all felt so fucking cool to use.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this game is so good. Like their first game, Slain it didn't quite land. Like, it didn't have the impact. Like, they had the visuals, and they had the kind of the same attitude going into that, but it just didn't feel right. Like, there's something about it that just doesn't feel good to play. Whereas, like, this is a complete correction of everything I think that just didn't feel super great about Slain at all. Like, this is just... This is the witch's tits, man. This game is so good. So that is my number 6, Valfaris. Absolutely look it up. Look, man, if Konami isn't going to be the ones to give us satisfying run and gun action, there are many people out here like Joy Masher and these fine folks that are more than happy to give it to us in their stead. And just judging from Valfaris, like, okay, we're in good hands if we need more games like this, I think. So yeah, that's my number 6. Valfaris.
Beautiful.
John! I think
That's me.
I
have a listener list.
You have a listener list for us, so let us hear it.
I have a list from Lewis. Thank you very much, Lewis. I played a lot of really good games this year, so it was hard to settle on only 3 this time. Apologies for the sections in 3 and 1 being a bit long. Number 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have a billion thoughts on this game, and squeezing it all into like 4 sentences is going to be fruitless, but to put it very generally, this is a game I thought had really low lows and really high highs. This is a game with a bunch of fantastic ideas brought to life with a modern AAA budget that's also held back by current AAA video game bullshit associated with that kind of bullshit, like the extremely fillery checklist side quests and the boring weapon upgrade trees.
Yep.
The conceit behind the ending is extremely cool, and I'm on board with it, since it reinforces the original Final Fantasy VII continuing to stand alongside Remake. But I'm not entirely pleased with the handling of the character that most likely used to justify it. In the end, I still put this game in my top 3 because the story beats hit absolutely perfectly, the music kicks ass, and the Honeybee Inn scene is one of the greatest video game sequences in the history of the medium. As messy as I thought this game was, I'm ultimately looking forward to Part 2, or whatever they end up calling it. Number 2, Ys, The Oath in Telgana. While I enjoyed Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles Plus, this game felt clean from beginning to end, with an action-packed 10-hour runtime that left me utterly satisfied. The sword fighting is precise and demanding, which is a surprise since I actually really liked the bump attack system from Ys 1 and 2, but they made it feel really fun with Adol's versatile and effective moveset. If you can ignore the fact that Prick Lasagna voices about 3 characters in this game, the English dub was also a real treat to listen to. Overall, the game rules. Just try to get past the boss in the beginning that requires using the fire spell. It's rough and frustrating, and the game gets much more manageable afterwards. Number 1, Terra Enigma. As a way to some fucking quintet.
Wow, that's the second quintet game.
I know. As a way to stick it to Nintendo, I decided to crack open my Switch and install Homebrew into the sucker. Hell yeah. And one of the first things I did was download RetroArch onto it so I could play some games for the first time that were never going to be re-released. Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terra Enigma, and a ton of other ROMs. I really enjoyed being able to play all 3 of these Super Nintendo classics curled up in my bed laying on my side, and while I thought all 3 were great, Terra Enigma ended up blowing me away. Keep in mind that all I knew about it was that it's a great game the US never got and that the ending was sad, but nothing else. So for the most part, I was blind. Like Oath and Felgana, there was one frustrating boss in the middle of the game that I needed to look up a guide for, but the magic system is mostly useless. But aside from that, this was an extremely fun and interesting game with a lot of themes and story beats that really got me to reflect on myself and the world around me. And while I don't think Terra Enigma is as holistically perfect as Soul Blazer is, the game hit me much harder in its story and characters. It's the first game in a long time to make me cry the first time I played it.
Dang.
I like that this is the community that describes Soul Blazer as holistically perfect.
Yes!
Accurate.
We
Honorable
are!
mentions. Silas, the very cool traditional JRPG that Tom made. One Shot, a game I started the day right before the yearly list was due and made me think, oh shit, this might be on my list if I beat it in time, but I didn't want to rush it through to meet the deadline. The Black Lives Matter bundle on itch.io. This is how I played games like One Shot.
Yeah.
Good shit.
John, you are so good at reading. Thank you. That was the longest list.
Holly, I think
I think I've got.
Ooh, this is...
I got us a listener list.
I got us another listener list. This one comes from Mixmaster, who just started listening to the show. Mixmaster says, hey, it's Max/Mixmaster. I just started listening to the podcast, really, but I thought I may as well participate because sharing a list sounds fun. So without further ado, my games are Post Void, a trippy, fast, and rewarding FPS arcade game that actually got me chasing a spot on the leaderboard. Adrenaline shot to my eyeball. Yeah, this game looks super good. I watched Angry Ed play a bit of this and was like, okay, you know what? Because this is a game that I looked at and was like, I checked out immediately when it said roguelike.
Oh, yeah.
But then I watched Angry Ed play it and I was like, oh, this is just kind of more of an arcade game, actually. Next game. This one will make John happy, I'm sure. Extreme Meat Punks Forever. Rad as hell and queer anti-fascist story backed up with some great characters and fun internet speak-like writing. And their final pick is one that I imagine we'll be hearing more about. Hades. The combat is always fresh with hugely various upgrades, and the story, dialogue, and voice acting is a great motivator to keep on playing. Looking forward to hearing the episode. A fantastic list. It's good stuff, man. These lists are so fucking packed.
Yep.
So, our final entry of the day comes to us from our good pal, Psychic Heist, who is just always tearing up the forums, leaving us some good thoughts to think about and things to talk about. Just overall, awesome part of the community. Love him to death. He's got us a listener audio list, and we are going to begin that journey, because it is a journey. Believe me.
A little bit longer.
A little bit longer. Worth it. Worth it. Psychic Heist comes in, and we're going to listen to his list in 3, 2, 1, play.
Hello, Sockscast. It's been a year. So, I've decided to shoulder a slice of the weight with this whole Game of the Year thing and read my own shit to you. I want to give your lovely little voice boxes a tiny break. So please, enjoy some rest as I read off my top 3 video games of the year. It's a very Sockscast influence list. Number 3 is going to Celeste. Feel like I had a similar experience as Polly did with this one, and that I didn't really click with it at first. But after hearing how Polly decided to reconsider Celeste and give it another shot, I decided to go back as well. And around stage 2, I was like, oh yeah, this is obviously great. Why was I such a dunce the first go around? The second spot of my game of the year goes to Undertale. But I'm going to put an asterisk beside this, so please keep that in mind. So, Undertale. I believe you all have heard of it. There's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said about the beautiful experience that is Undertale. So, here's a personal anecdote. Late this summer, my 8-year-old and I were playing outside, and suddenly I saw a sparkle in his eyes. He quickly came up to me, beckoned me to lower my ear, and whispered to me like it was a secret. Hey, guess what? Undertale's my favorite game. I was instantly charmed, And then I realized that Undertale will become this special memory that he now has between himself, his sister, and I. And he's going to carry that experience for the rest of his life. It kind of reminded me to a memory that I have when I was around the age of 9 and playing Earthbound for the first time with my grandmother. So I'm really happy I got to Undertale this year, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't invest in it sooner. But you remember that asterisk I talked about earlier? Well, here's the footnote. I haven't seen the pacifist ending yet. I know. We were in the middle of a pacifist run when the power supply to my computer died on us.
Oh no.
Fuck. 2020, right?
Right.
And I've had so much other personal stuff going on that I haven't been able to replace it yet. It has been killing me. Killing me. I hope to have this fixed soon. Now, for my number 1 game of the year, which goes to Hades. Look, I could easily talk about how Hades checks all the boxes for excellent gameplay, story, characters, music, art direction, etc., etc., etc. And I feel like I've already done a little bit of that on the forums. But what I really want to convey about what resonated with me about Hades is not only how it nails teenage rebellion, but it wisely doesn't overlook the complicated relationships of family and where you come from. Hades reminds me of my friends and myself in our late teens, just out of high school, ready to get the fuck out of our hometown, either by moving to a promising new place or going to college. And then when those dreams didn't exactly work out in the way that we imagined them, we find ourselves having to go back to the place and family that raised us, tail tucked between our legs. Of course, having gone through that personally, it is upsetting and very frustrating, but that's only just one layer. There's also something consoling about going back home, checking in on your friendships you've established throughout your life, hitting up that one spot that serves your comfort food you can't find anywhere else, and trying to decipher the true enigma that is your parents. This is what Hades means to me, and it is still capturing my imagination. And really, that's only the start of it. I adore this game. So there you have it. Apologies if my ramblings have put the listeners to sleep. Maybe a blip of death grips will wake everyone back the fuck up. I'd like to add just one more thing, though. Thank you, Sockscast, and thank you, Socks community, for being a stronghold and a place of refuge during this awful year. You just don't know how these podcasts, the best games of the decade event, and all the music recommendations have helped me get through some shit this year. All my love, Psychic Heist.
Woo!
Thanks so much, dog.
There's so much to unpack there, man. I really, really hope you get to see the pacifist ending in Undertale, and
that one definitely shook me.
connecting with your kids in that way. Like I had never really thought about it like that before, but that is a very that's a very thought-provoking list in and of itself. Giving us a lot to mentally chew on here, PH.
Have I mentioned the way people talk about Hades still seems nuts to me as a roguelike?
Yeah, right?
Like,
yes.
There's a connection to this game that is just like, we have to know.
Yeah, it is funny that might be like the game that shows up in the end on the most listener lists, and none of us have played it.
That's... Man, I feel like we've done a disservice or something by having not played this game. Oh, Jesus.
It's just the way I look at it and go, oh, it's a roguelike, and then everyone is like, oh, but the story. I'm like, how do they work a story into a roguelike so well?
There's so much love and passion around the story and characters that I see on my feed every single day that... One, it's just like, okay, of course I can believe that Supergiant are the ones that made something like that. Two, how is it a roguelike?
I literally don't understand.
Like, my brain just can't fit all that in there.
Yeah, like, that's kind of like, I think that Hades is going to be the game that we all have to kind of look at over the next year at some point.
Yeah.
Because it's too ubiquitous. Like, it's just, wow.
Yeah. When you think about that list in general being Celeste, Undertale, Hades, like, oh, that's some company, huh?
God, what a list! Like, why does everybody in our community literally have the best taste?
I know, right?
I mean, we look.
Facts.
Let's just give ourselves a pat on the back here. I think we're responsible for a lot of. I can't say that honestly.
I think we got a pretty good cocktail going on that helps like foster a community of.
I think that we foster people looking at things like this a little more, maybe.
They've stood on our shoulders as Newton stood on those before him.
Oh my God!
Classical physics.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So with that being our final entry for the first day, I want to throw it back to Rhett for a moment and have him run down his 10 to 6 once more for us before we sign out for the day.
Number 10, Symphogear X-Drive Unlimited. Number 9, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 8, Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. Number 7, One Shot. Number 6, The Wonderful 101.
And John, your 10 to 6.
Number 10, Toho Luna Nights. Number 9, Ocean Oi and Atom Oi. Number 8, Xenoblade Chronicles. Number 7, Queen's Wish the Conqueror. Number 6, The Reggae Operation.
And my 10 to 6 goes a little something like this. My number 10 is Silas. My number 9 is Final Fantasy VII Remake. My number 8 is One Shot. My number 7 is Steins Gate Linear Bounded Phenogram. And my number 6 is Valfaris. That is going to wrap day 1 of our Game of the Year festivities. Of course, thank you again to everybody who sent in lists. You were absolutely wonderful, and we want you to join us again on Christmas Day, where we will wind down the last of the lists. And remember, you fine and beautiful people, we are the podcast that loves you. We are the only ones that love you.